Rumsfeld here. Good evening and welcome back. Do you remember when I made my official Mayweather-Pacquiao prediction? So for my official prediction, I believe that Manny Pacquiao is going to defeat Floyd Mayweather Jr. by majority decision and a very controversial one. I was wrong. And all that goes to show is that I don't know shit about boxing. This is Rummy's Corner. It's true. Can't pick a fight to save my life.
Oh, Frank. That's horrible. That's so horrible. I know it.
The thing that surprised me most about the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight is right off the bat, early in the first round, it became abundantly obvious that there was a vast discrepancy in foot speed favoring Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, this came as a surprise to me. I knew going into this fight that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had better footwork and that maybe he did have quicker feet, but I thought in terms of foot speed that Pacquiao was close enough or perhaps even on par or superior to Mayweather in that regard. And I couldn't have been more wrong on that, and I think that wound up being one of the key factors of the fight and one of the keys to victory for Floyd. It was the best Floyd's footwork had looked since the Canelo fight, and for Pacquiao, it was the absolute worst his footwork has looked, at least dating back to his first fight with Timothy Bradley. For Pacquiao, the pinnacle of his foot speed and footwork dated way back, I think, to his fight with Oscar De La Hoya, where he had a beautifully brilliant rhythm, darting in and out, getting in and out of range, and baffling Oscar with quick peppering combinations. Since that time, I don't think he's ever displayed quite that good of footwork or foot speed, but what he showed in the Floyd Mayweather fight was much worse than what I was expecting to see from him, and again, I think this was a key. First 3 rounds, I thought Mayweather mostly was coasting. He was using a jab, and he was using his jab very effectively and very intelligently, and this is a weapon that he has. It's a great weapon, but it's not one that he often utilizes. Mayweather was doing a great job landing some good straight rights, keeping Pacquiao off balance and dominating the range of the action. That Pacquiao was throwing so few punches in the first 3 rounds right off the bat, that was a nightmarish sign for Pacquiao. And again, the foot speed from the opening round, I knew it was going to be a long night for Pacquiao right from the get-go. Where Pacquiao started getting the right idea was during the 4th round, when he caught Floyd with a nice counter left over the top, and he was able to back Floyd into the corner, and Floyd hid behind a high guard, and he looked like he was visibly hurt by the punch, and Pacquiao opened up, and it looked like he had a chance to do something, but inexplicably, he backed away. And I think he let Mayweather off the hook. I'm sure he was afraid of being hit with a counter right, but I thought it was bizarre that his first really big moment of success, it seemed he let Floyd off the hook where he could have kept him uncomfortable and maybe mixed in another power shot or 2. Floyd was totally behind his guard. And then he did it again. He had him on the ropes later in the round and he did the same thing. Odd that Pacquiao would choose to bring things back to the center of the ring where he was struggling with Floyd the most. The only successes he had in the fight were moments like that where he had Floyd pinned or when he occasionally timed Floyd and got him to bite on one of his feints. But other than that, Pacquiao had an extremely difficult time finding Floyd. He was following him around, and right off the bat, that's like the kiss of death against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, many of you may remember I showed my predicted scorecard for this fight in my prediction episode, and I thought that although Pacquiao would be awarded a somewhat controversial type decision, I thought that if you fairly objectively went through the rounds, it would wind up being a narrow Mayweather points victory, 114 to 112. I was wrong. Pacquiao never got off to the fast start I was expecting, and as such, he really never gave himself his best chance of winning. Floyd did an excellent job coming out and establishing the tempo early, and he really didn't look back, other than you can see on my new scorecard, my actual scorecard from fight night. I gave Pacquiao 3 rounds, the 4th, the 6th, and the 7th, and after rewatching the 7th round earlier today, that one may have been a generous round to give Pacquiao. I think maybe there was a case for Pacquiao edging out either the 2nd or probably more likely the 3rd round. But I had a score of 117-111, much wider margin of victory than I suspected. But one thing I'm glad about is that there was no controversy in this one. Floyd Mayweather won the fight. It wasn't really debatable, although there's some fringe nutjob fans out there that had Pacquiao winning. And the fact that there was no controversy was a good thing in an otherwise disappointing fight that didn't live up to expectations in terms of entertainment value. Didn't live up to the mega fights of the 80s, as Al Bernstein said. It may have had the atmosphere early, but it didn't live up to those. Certainly didn't live up to the previous fight of the century between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. One of the things that disappointed me a bit in this fight was Freddie Roach. You would think after all of these years that he would have a better gauge of what was going on with the action, that he'd have a better idea on how to properly motivate his fighter and to get him to do what he needed to do to be more effective in the fight and to give himself a chance to win. It was a bizarre scene from the glimpses we got in between rounds of Roach and Pacquiao and their interactions. I saw no sense of urgency, and I just didn't think Roach was doing a terrific job of giving Pacquiao corner instructions in between rounds. And on the flip side to that, I thought Floyd Mayweather Sr. was doing an outstanding job of keeping his son motivated in a fight that he was winning, but Floyd Sr. did an outstanding job of making sure that Floyd didn't take his foot off the gas, and he wanted him to do more, and I think for good reason, because it looked like as comfortable and in control as Floyd was throughout most of the fight, he probably could have stepped it up a notch and really took it to Pacquiao. He'd have taken more risks, and Floyd's always smart and plays it safe, but I was impressed with the advice that Mayweather Sr. was giving him. And I definitely think it was better than the advice Roger had given Floyd after round 2 of the Mosley fight. But then again, Roger's advice in that fight wound up working because Floyd dominated Mosley after that point. So the fight was a mega event. There were some cool people there. I remember them interviewing Magic Johnson, talking about his rivalry with Larry Bird, although I don't think Larry Bird ever was deliberately trying to punch Magic Johnson in the face. There were badasses like Clint Eastwood there and a bunch of celebrities, and then that lucky bastard Tom Brady. He started the day at the Kentucky Derby and wound up at the fight of the century in Vegas. You know what? Fuck Tom Brady. The Jets had an awesome draft. J-E-T-S, Jets. So what's next for these two guys? For Floyd Mayweather, I think the choice is obvious. If he really is just going to fight one more time and then call it a career, I think the person he should target now is a rematch with Miguel Cotto, whom I know is scheduled to fight Gil in a couple of months or a month or so. I think that's the fight for Floyd. Fight at 160 against Miguel Cotto for the linear middleweight championship. To me, that's the fight that makes the most sense for his legacy. And following the Pacquiao fight, where he's no doubt going to have to take a step backwards, I think it's the best payday available for him aside from a Pacquiao rematch, which I think most people can agree I have no interest in seeing. I'd rather see the rematch with Cotto for all the marbles at 160, to become the man at 160. He has the voluntary defense if he could find a way out of the Gil fight, which I'm sure they'll have no problems doing. I think a September bout between Mayweather and Cotto is absolutely the direction Floyd should go. And if he does retire after his next fight, defeating Cotto for the middleweight strap would be a nice feather in his cap and a nice send-off to end a magnificent Hall of Fame career. For Pacquiao, I honestly really believe that Pacquiao should probably call it quits. I know that a lot of people would disagree with this and that there's no shame in losing to Floyd Mayweather Jr., but all the same, Pacquiao's career seemed to build up to this moment, and for me, personally, I think it would be better that he bow out on this note, having lost to his rival, and call it a day. My biggest fear for Pacquiao, because I know he's not going to do that, he's going to fight somebody at 140 or do something. And there's probably, the truth be told, he could probably beat most of the guys not named Floyd Mayweather Jr. in that weight range, but I don't know. I think Pacquiao should call it quits. And my biggest fear for him is that he's going to wind up looking like Roy Jones Jr. and hanging around way too long past his expiration date. And I hope that doesn't happen, because Pacquiao's brought a lot of entertainment and a lot of exciting fights, and I hope that I'm wrong about that. In the end, Floyd Mayweather Jr. not only defeated Manny Pacquiao inside the squared circle, but I also thought he defeated him in the battle of post-fight interviews, where, all things considered, Floyd was very gracious in victory. I thought he was very respectful in the entire build-up to this fight, the aftermath, the whole way. Maybe we're seeing a more mature Floyd Mayweather Jr. Maybe that the big fight that he finally got that everybody wanted came along. Maybe he wants the fans to not remember him as the money persona that, was controversial, the villain, but he played it up and it was a very lucrative character, I might add. Floyd was gracious in victory. Pacquiao, on the other hand, I was disappointed in his interview. I mean, I understand being a competitor that it might be hard to believe you lose, and maybe he'll go back and look at the tapes, as some others have said, and realize that he didn't perform as well as he may have thought he had. But I think maybe he might have been coached that if he lost the decision, no matter what, to say that he thought he won the fight, hopefully paving a way to the rematch. But I thought it was such a decisive victory for Mayweather, and let's be honest, it was. It was such a decisive victory for Mayweather that it would have been nice to see Pacquiao gracious in defeat and to give Mayweather props, because I wasn't particularly thrilled with that interview beginning to end. And one of the things, Max Kellerman had the right idea. He had the right approach of the type of question he wanted to ask on Pacquiao, because he was right to call him out on Pacquiao, suggesting that he thought he won the fight. But I thought Max's execution was terrible. While his approach was good, I didn't like his execution on the way he went about that. I'm nitpicking here. I'm not the one doing those interviews, so it's easy for me to be critical, but I'd have much preferred to have seen the great Larry Merchant give that interview, because hands down, there's still nobody in the business today better at doing interviews, post-fight interviews in particular, than the great Larry Merchant. I would have loved to have seen him be a part of this, him having broadcast so many Pacquiao-Mayweather fights over the years. And it didn't happen, but let me conclude on this note. Larry said that if he was 50 years younger, he would kick Floyd Mayweather's ass. If, in fact, that's true, based on what we saw this weekend, I imagine he'd only need to be 40 years younger to kick Pacquiao's ass. This is Rumsfeld. Tune in next week. Thanks for watching, guys.
You don't ever give me a fair shake, you know that? So I'm gonna go and let you talk to Victor Ortiz, all right? I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO need to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
You won't do shit. You would do nothing.